horse drifted alarmingly in the betting was, fancied in the morning, continued to drift. It was late on the exchanges to lose. It was something you'd see in a Dick Francis novel, Charles Buttons.
The ground is soft. It's
heavy.
It's soft on times.
It's heavy.
Okay.
And a big warm welcome to the Barsters Inquiry team, the Sunday Sermon. This is the show that gets everyone talking, usually people that really dislike me and send me nasty messages after I've slagged them off. But apart from that, we've got plenty to get through on this show this weekend. It's the Dublin Racing Festival review. We've got some decent topics to talk about, racecourses, etc. And joining me as always to discuss in a fair and honest way is John Lang and Lorne Malvo. Good evening.
Evening.
Yes, right. We're going to get stuck into this one because this is the last live sermon until I believe the 5th, Sunday the 5th, I believe, of March. That's when we're back with the next live sermon. Taking a break because we all know February's shit, don't we, lads?
Absolutely.
Along with January, March, April, May, June, they're all fucking shit, all of it.
I was just saying, Chris, off air just before you joined the call about luck, and I says, fucking hell, I says, when Chris joins call, I says, he'll make it a trio of luckless cunts.
Oh yeah, exactly right. Amen to all that. Yeah, it wasn't for bad luck, wouldn't have any luck at all. Yeah.
Yeah, I felt sorry for John and Quentin on Friday's show because Quentin had a winner in 2 seconds and John 3 seconds.
Oh,
just
horrible.
John's always been a fan of Roger Black. Loved him, didn't you, John? 400-metre hurdler.
Absolutely.
More seconds than Jimmy White and
Oliver Twist.
That'd be you, Chris, if you were a snooker player. Jimmy White lost in 6 finals.
Yeah, nutted on the line. Yeah, fucking right. That's me.
Anyway, John Boy, we need to get through this weekend action, which obviously to most National Hunt fanatics was absolutely top-class fare. There's plenty to talk about. On Saturday, we'll just stick to the main races for time reasons. The Scilly Isles novice chase, Jerry Colomb, looking much the best, really, in the end. Definitely looks like a horse that had improved for a sluggathon, John.
Well, he's come there off 3 laps of honour, really, hasn't he? And needed to improve on the clock. And he's absolutely massacred them fuckers.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, he shouldn't be cribbed. He's 7 from 7 career. One point to point, 2 bumpers, 2 hurdles, and 3 chases. The lad's unbeaten. He's a slugger.
I think he's a bit more than a slugger, to be honest. I mean, he came back there at that lot. I mean, he'd get 3 mile this, wouldn't he?
I get 3 mile without sweat. I mean, this horse will improve plenty for 3 mile and beyond as well. By the way, I do think he's one of those. I wouldn't be. He's entered in the National Hunt Chase and the Brown Advisory. Now, if you owned him, John, do you go the National Hunt Chase or Brown Advisory? 3 mile or 3 mile 6?
National Hunt Chase, definitely.
I mean, he's a 4-1 for the Brown Advisory after the Sandown win, and he's 10-1 for the National Hunt Chase. I think I would be tempted because he's 7 now. He's not like he's 5 and whatever. He's 7. He's mature now, and it's a case of like, right, let's find his optimum conditions. I believe that could be it. Although, having said that, let's be honest here, and this is the embarrassment of British ratings. Thunder Rock and Balco Coastal, they're just handicappers, aren't they?
It would appear so. I mean, if that's what we've got for the Grade 1 Scilly Isles Norwich Chase, I would suggest we are struggling to top 5 winners at the festival.
Yeah, it's looking grim. It is looking grim in various places. So, yeah, that was the Scilly Isles. So, Jerry Colomb, the only one you could possibly take out of it. I know it's boring, it's the winner, but like me and John would both like to see him in a real stamina test going forwards. Okay, that was the major race there at Sandown. Looking at Leopardstown, then the Dublin Racing Festival weekend yesterday, John. We'll go through all the Grade 1s, really. The 2 mile 6 race, where our sort of dark Cheltenham fancy with the squeak went out like a light, as if it was a miss. We've all been caught.
Somebody put some oil on and the squeak stopped, didn't he?
Yeah, all the vets said afterwards. He said that he's had a small skin wound.
That horse was in a shocking state right through the race. I mean, he moved like a crab. He was clumsy. He was lifeless. I mean, that was a desperate performance.
Yeah.
If that runs again this season, Twiston Davis's crackers.
I mean, there's a lot of people that like the winner, Good Land, to do well at Cheltenham. I'm not so sure. I don't think it was much of a race in the end, I'll be honest.
He was running all over a raspberry for 90% of the race, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was sat, Andy, in the right position. The 9-2 makes no appeal for me, John.
As I say, what have you done when you kick the shit out of the village idiot?
Yeah. I don't think it's a race to sort of like. I'm not as excited as some for the winner, Good Land, at all. I just think that was a race that I can leave alone. The juvenile hurdle saw more wrist slitting by many for the weekend that were taking the short odds about Lossiemouth go berserk at Paul Townend. And I suppose this is the old scenario when you do run a pacemaker or you run an horse having a float out in front. When it starts dropping back on you, what you don't want to do is get stuck behind it, John.
In an ideal world, no. I mean, you'd think they'd be a bit more switched on than that, but I think there's been several cases this weekend where tactics have left a lot to be desired, to be honest.
Yeah.
That was one of them. I don't particularly like Lossiemouth.
Again, it's another one where some horses I get the hype, some horses I'm not so like massively keen on. The fact that this is 15-8 for the Triumph Hurdle, it kind of just, it's a meh. I can't be arsed kind of. It doesn't really. I think it's a good horse, but I don't think it's the kind of. She's the kind of filly that really excites me, like you've just said. And I mean, the thing is today, what do we think, John, about the state of the Dublin Racing Festival this weekend? Because it was like mainly Willie Mullins versus Gordon Elliott, wasn't it? Like literally, you could have. In fact, the Racing League could have done something, Team Elliott and Team Mullins, because that's what it just felt like.
First time the Racing League could have done something of interest to me.
It could actually, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, that's where we are at the minute in Irish racing, aren't we? You know, I mean, Drax dropped off the pace a bit. This is what we're left with. You know, I mean, I wouldn't imagine we're going to Cheltenham thinking there's a lot of other Irish trainers going to figure massively, is there? You know, I mean, there'll be the usual suspects like Charles Burns, Gavin Cromwell. They'll have a couple of winners. But in the main, it'll be Garden, won't it?
Did you say he's God, Chris?
No, please, God.
But Mullins had 6 out of 8 runners in that juvenile hurdle. I mean, it's just... I mean, people have different opinions. So what does it matter that one person's trading them? But I suppose in some respects, some might be having a float, others not, you know, and so on and so on.
If you're continually backing losers in these races where Mullins has 6 of 8 and things, you're going to start thinking all sorts, aren't you? You know,
yeah,
human nature. But somebody somewhere is backing every winner. He thinks it's all straight.
Right. The Irish Arkle, then. Right. If you're an in-running player, if you didn't do your bollocks on this race, then you shouldn't have it. We shouldn't be in betting because you should do your bollocks on this race if you're an in-running player. Because El Fabiolo, I think, wanted to wear twigs all over its chest and its legs, John, as it walked back into the winners' enclosure. Because what a terrible round of jumping. So you think everything's ran below form here, then everything must have just run to nothing. Check the time; it was rapid.
Yeah.
So I mean, it was 2 seconds outside standard, and it took off the Birch with him. I mean, this has got a stupid engine, has it not?
Yeah, it has. But you'd think as well that the mistakes he made there are decimate Cheltenham.
Yes, you'd think so. You know, I have my doubts. You know, like the BHA of recent times, I'm sure they're making our fences easier and not saying anything.
Yeah,
right?
The one about that hill on the second last, will.
No, I know what you mean.
You know,
but
you still have your heart in your mouth over this one, getting around there.
For sure.
Speed.
For sure. I mean, to see the quotes, by the way, for the Arkle after this. Well, El Fabiolo, he's obviously is naturally attracted money after that to rival John Bon. But the way John Bon jumps, John, he's got to be too slick for him, hasn't he?
Yeah.
That's how I'd see it. And it literally...
To me, you'd back a careful jump over this one. You don't even need to be slick. You know, he's made enough mistakes there. I couldn't entertain him for Cheltenham. You know, if he wins, all well and good. But I'd just trail him up to cunt if I backed him and he fell.
Well, that's it, isn't it? You know, he's there. I mean, there's the other angle that then if they manage to sort them out. But in 2 runs now, he's looked less than impressive over his fences. He's just got a ridiculous engine full of carrots as well.
Yeah, I don't know why Willie doesn't win Cesarovic with him.
It's crazy, isn't it? I mean, to do what he's done today.
15 Cesarovic horses, hasn't he, Willie?
He's got everything. The man's got everything. He's got 15 bumper horses, you know, that'll probably line up in champion bumper.
I bet he's even good at basketball.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, he slammed Banbridge 10 lengths, right? And Banbridge has run what you'd say a perfect trial for the Turners, because that's obviously that's too short for it. 2 mile 1. It's come through late, finished through the line very strongly. That was a great trial for the Turners. If anyone wants to watch that back, so people might say, well, that's it. You've beat basically a 2.5 mile horse by 10. You know, that hadn't got the speed at that level for 2 miles. But then you've got Dies like Dynamo, that was beat, had every chance.
That one and appreciates it's a pretty speedy fuck as hell.
No, he'd sort of won a bit further. So, like, I'm with John on this. I think if you back that at 9-4 in the Arc, you want your bumps feeling, because it's there that it's gonna belly flop probably 3 or 4, and I don't think you can get away with it. I don't. And if you do, then, like John says, why isn't he running in? It might be a Group 1 horse on flat. Yeah, there we go. So that's the opinion there. Now, the Paddy Power Irish Gold Cup, John, and I saw a tweet from you. You love the second in this, Statler.
I thought it was a marvellous race. For me, they didn't go that quick, which is backed up by the time. They were 30 seconds slower than standard. Because if they'd gone any sort of gallop, they'd have dropped the big dog a lot sooner than they did.
Yeah, they went ridiculously slow, didn't they? Yeah.
He was still involved, almost turning in, wasn't he?
Yeah.
For me, Statler's kept on fantastic there. You get him in a race run at even Gold Cup pace. He's going to be staying on like buggery up the hill, isn't he? I think he's a very, very fair bet to beat the winner at Cheltenham.
Yeah, it certainly. A lot of people that were Galloping Deschamps fans have sort of been a bit lukewarm by the outcome of that, because at one stage he was struggling to overhaul the Gigginstown horse, and then obviously along came Statler late after getting outpaced. Looking at the prices then for the Gold Cup, how that's affected it. Galloping Deschamps lengthened in a few places out to sort of 7 or 4-ish. Statler around the 8-1 mark. There's a few conflated fans out there still lurking about. Ahoy, Senor, John. 12-1.
Ah, bollocks.
Right, so that's what we think to that. Do you think Galloping Deschamps would stay, John, properly?
I think it'd be absolutely as far as he want to go.
Yeah.
I think you're right on the cusp of him emptying out, you know?
I've always seen him as one of them that if Willie Williams wanted to, he probably could have won 4 King Georges with this horse.
Yes.
Kind of thing. But maybe not, like you said, maybe not the 3 mile 2. So we're against. That's the consensus there. Few people moaning and groaning about Percival Legawala as obviously sort of annoyed if you not off a yard apparently behind Maxus, people have said, on the 28th of December, and then comes out and does that. And that leads us on to a question before we carry on doing. So I'll bring Chris here to see what happens. And this is regards to, we did cover it sort of last week about Ronan McNally getting a ridiculously stiff ban, which, all right, look, I kind of get why he's banned, but maybe not the term that they've induced on him. Now, he's making the case, Mark Mackay, is that McManus is getting away with this all the time. Harold Roberts has also been on and said McManus. Ted Walsh has said apparently yesterday on Irish TV that the stewards are asleep at the wheel. The lack of consistency is just obviously, he didn't go as far as say it, but tainted towards the big guys compared to little men, Chris.
Yeah, agreed. There's not much more to say. Of course they are. You know, if Ronan McNally employed X number of trainers and kept, you know, X hundred people in full employment, you know, that they would treat him differently. Yeah, he's sort of low-hanging fruit, but look, that's the way life is. The big guys generally get away with it, and McManus is always going to get away with it, allegedly. So no great surprise there. The only thing that surprised me was the as you say, the term that McNally attracted. I thought 12 years or whatever was absolutely ridiculous. You know, that was nonsense. But yeah, I mean, it just pans out exactly how you expect it to. So no surprise here.
Again, though, we come back to the old problem that racing has, that it's set up to obtain a handicap mark. As we know, we've all in the past, we've all probably done sports as hobbies, like golf and, you know, and snooker, and you go to your local snooker club or golf course, you put 3 cards in for a round, and you always make sure there's a bit up your sleeve.
Yeah. Well, that's human nature, isn't it? I mean, that's the system.
Yeah.
You know,
it's only the idiots that go there and put 3 cards in that are like absolutely like to the very best. You know, end up with an 8 handicap and can play to about 12. What morons! You have much more fun, don't you, John? Sticking three duff cards in, getting off 23, yeah, and then shooting a net 59.
I won the Jubilee Cup at Saltman Golf Club, and I won it by 5 shots.
Well clear, yeah.
You see that's it. So this is the thing, really. So how it's a mixed message. I don't understand. I mean, like I get Ronan's punishments basically like running horses out of a field and stuff like that, and you know, and they tailed off, etc., and then they fit for race day. But to me, there's a lot of trainers doing that, and it's just a case of, well, you know, I think the thing is the exchanges showed the prices. Yeah, that's the problem. Because
that's the issue. That's the transfer. I mean, you know, he wasn't just doing it; he was doing, and he was a good trainer. You know, I know people say, well, you know, anyone can do that and they're 5 stone now. Well, they can't. So, you know, the man was obviously a very skilled operator, but he was pretty blatant, and that's what the establishment doesn't like. They don't like to have their noses rubbed in it. So, you know, get it quietly, I think, it's got to be the message.
Yeah.
They finally broached the subject on the opening show yesterday.
Yeah.
And Mick Fitzgerald started with, when you look at the detail. Well, you know.
That's very good. I thought he was in the room for a moment.
Yeah, well,
I thought, fucking hell, what's he doing here?
and like, it's not a case of when you look at the data, this is somebody being gifted with afterthought. At the time, when these horses were showing massive improvement and winning, backed off the boards, where was the media? Why weren't they analysing the races leading up to this?
Yeah.
Nobody was saying, let's have a look at this 1 3 runs to obtain a mark. And I personally think Ronan McNally would have a really good case if this went to court, because the punishment for a start is out of all proportion.
Yeah, totally.
No one had a word during his golden run. Like, we know for a fact the BHA can have a quiet word with a trainer and say, look, you are taking the piss, son. We know that hasn't happened.
Yeah,
I mean, no jockey's done for stopping any of these at any point. So we have to assume he's run them half fit if they weren't stopped. If so, he's shown tremendous skill in not bottoming them or crippling them. Because getting a horse round 2 miles in any sort of time, if they're not proper fit or somewhere near, is quite a skilled thing. And getting them to improve enough to land the gamble later on. You know, it's very easy to bugger these horses up. If you're running them and they're not wind fit, you can blow the wind dead easy.
Yeah, I mean, you
have to assume as well that if the jockeys haven't been complicit in stopping them, he hasn't said this isn't ready, easy on it. So where does that leave you? You know, this case is absolutely full of holes. You know, especially when you set it against repeated gambles teed up by bigger yards, bigger owners that goes on all the time.
You're right. It's a good point, John. It's a good point. I think that's testament to McNally's skill.
Yeah.
No one's stopping the horses, and I dare say jockeys aren't party to it. That's a very skilled operator. He doesn't need to stop them. He doesn't need someone else with loose lips saying, "Well, I stopped that last time. Keep an eye on it." They're just running them unfit or over the wrong trip, whatever. So yeah, good point.
Again, boils back to the old thing that the fact that the money made its way to the exchanges was the real issue here, and it showed it up for what it is. That like there was a race. It was an ITV race. We actually covered it on a sermon about it, and Ronan's was like sort of 7-2 in the betting, Chris, and literally I would say in 6 minutes to the off it was 7-2. Its SP was something like 18. And I think it's that. I think there's ways of doing it. I mean, I said we said the other week we covered the not off one of James Ferguson's.
Yeah.
The owners group had, and
yes.
They obviously stayed off the exchanges because it was well bet.
Yeah.
It wasn't off, but it was well bet. So at least that doesn't look bad, right? In anyone's eyes, you can't have a sport where literally you're taking 3-1 on good faith that this is off, sort of 5 minutes before. Yeah. You're not even doing it in the morning. You're doing it 5, and then it's 18s. Yeah. 6 minutes later, as obviously someone's taking a few quid out of it,
Yeah, absolutely.
In that case, though, Lee, if you're wearing a security in Irish Horse Racing Board, you'd just be on the phone to McNally, wouldn't you, and say, "Look, we know what's going on here. Cut this out, just okay."
Yeah.
It's easy to do, yeah. And I know for a fact that the BHA operate similar policies, like in the UK, in terms of trying to weed out like the bad apples. But what they do first, because they don't want to draw attention to the sport in a bad light, they will have a collar feel in some instances.
That's precisely what they've done here.
Yeah.
Because there's an exceptionally good trainer being banned for 12 years. And none of the qualifying runs have attracted a cough from the stewards.
No. Well, that's it. It's their own fault. I mean, it was the Irish handicappers that were moaning and saying, look, they were the first ones to bleat and start saying, look, this guy's making mincemeat out of us.
So don't give them max.
Yeah, that's it, exactly. Yeah, that's why I've said it. That Ferguson horse that ran the other night at Newcastle, straight away I'd go, ho, no, you're running again, please. And I want to see a better ride. Yeah. And you tell them exactly what you want to see. I want to see a better ride, and so I can assess it properly. I can't assess it properly on that, so you're not going to mark. It's that simple. So let them play the game how they want to play the game, but let's at least have, like you said, John, where the media have asked questions, the handicappers have asked questions. Let's try and get a sort of it's never going to be perfect, and there's always somebody with an edge, but at least then you've probably got more credibility to the entire game than what we've currently got. But I think that's where we are on that, as discussed in previous weeks. Anyway, back to the review. So after galloping on Saturday, like I said, Percival Legallois won the 3 mile handicap hurdle for JP. On to Sunday, we started with a mare's handicap hurdle. Then we got on to the Ladbrokes novice chase. A slow time. I really like Mighty Potter John as a horse. I think he's again another sort of like likeable, trying, tough bastard.
He's a smashing slugger, isn't he? I mean, he just toughs it out. He's like, I think we said the other week, didn't he? He's like the Brad Pitt character in Snatch. It doesn't matter how hard you hit him, he's getting back up.
Yeah, great character that, by the way. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think wherever he goes, he's going to be very hard to beat.
I can understand why he is a very short price, 13-8, I believe, for the Turners. I wouldn't want to be against him. It is short, and it's certainly not a price I can entertain right now. But if the race cuts up in any shape or form, John, you could see him probably going off a really well bet favourite, couldn't you?
No, he'll be a blogger now. He'll be one of Blogger's top 4 bets.
Am I wrong then? Watching bloggers swan around paddock at parade ring at Leopardstown. Am I wrong for just thinking what a cunt? I hate saying it because there's a lot of people.
Reaction.
Yeah, but a lot of people like him. They like what he brings
as well.
Well, yeah, we are.
Well, a lot of people like Anton Deck. Well, it doesn't make it right, does it?
John loves Anton Deck.
Yeah.
Don't you, John?
Absolutely.
Right, okay, we'll move on from Marty Potter. Nothing else to see in that race apart from Marty Potter, who was tremendous. Then we got the Dublin chase, and Gentleman to Me floored the odds on at Steelers again. John, Gentleman to Me looked really good last year. He's come back like a bag of spanners this year, and then come right back to his best today.
Yeah, it's a good job Ron and McNally didn't churn him, isn't it?
The stewards inquiries. Yeah, I mean, Gentleman to Me. I thought he'd gone. I looked. He sort of starts this season and thought, well beaten at Sandown. It didn't happen for him. His jumping went to pieces behind Blue Lord at Christmas, and then today he's been different class. He's got on with it. He's jumped well, and it's the Gentleman to Me that is clearly capable of high quality Group 1 form, and that's sort of like put the cat amongst the pigeons in terms of the Arkle betting, John, because I don't think no one sort of knows what to stick or twist at the moment in that. Sorry, the Queen Mother, the Champion Chase.
I think that's a race that can be left alone until nearer the term, to be honest, because you wouldn't be entirely sure what's going to run there.
These anti-purse markets, by the way, are shocking. Some of them.
Yeah.
It's taken for me all the sort of like just pizzazz out of like anti-purse betting. They've gone down running no bet from a long way out. They're ridiculously short on nearly everything. You look at market and think, well, I don't want to buy. And it's as if like they are just literally wanting mugs to take really short prices now because they're saying you'll get your money back if it doesn't run. But that, to be honest, John, you know yourself, the best part of the value of anti-purse betting is you want to lose if you don't run. Because that's where you get your value. That's where, right, well, if it does run, I get my reward. If I have an anti-purse bet in the guineas, if it doesn't run, then I get punished. But I'm on really good value because I've taken 5s in October. It might be 6-4 on the day. But you're not going to get that scenario from January at Cheltenham. Because
they're taking that out of it, and as a result, it makes the bet completely unappealing because the betting day of race prices, right?
Well, this is it. Like Edwardstone, 7-4. I mean, tell me that's not going to be 7-4 on the day, or bigger on the exchanges. Bigger. I know. I mean, it's just, and I fancy Edwardstone. Yeah. Like that's the horse that I'd want to be with at the moment.
The price is terrible.
But you may as well just wait till the day and just get a bigger price or bigger on the exchanges or wait for him running or whatever.
I mean, all these odds-on folks, I mean, there's going to be these smart lads that haven't got them in the boats yet on Betfair. I mean, they're going to be sticking half a pint on them and whatever anyway, so.
Yeah, no, for sure. Right, the Chanel Farm Irish Champion Hurdle. All eyes were on this race. It was meant to be a big match between the brilliant mare Honeysuckle and the new kid on the block, State Man, who has looked every inch a top class 2-mile hurdler in all his runs so far. Now, John, this played out probably as we expected. We said on Friday's show that we expected State Man to do the business, and we couldn't really have the mare on our minds. We thought she'd gone. I think that was probably fairly evident. However, having analysed the sort of sectionals on this, they've literally given the red carpet to State Man.
I'd agree with that, because we haven't really strung out as you might have expected, have we?
No, I mean, literally 4.5, half, 1.25, 1.5. So we're talking 3. State Man's beaten Zanna here, who's the Irish equine wanker, by 7 lengths. So it's obviously been a crawl. It's obviously State Man. In fact, watching State Man come into the parade ring after to the cheers and stuff, he wouldn't have blown a candle out.
No, I think for purposes of evaluating the race,
Yeah.
I think she took Pied Piper even as your marker. That's probably its mark.
147.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, which again, it'd worry you for Honeysuckle because I think it's a fair old while since she was hitting the top figures.
Well, I hope they retire her, because last thing you want to see, probably, as a racing fan as well, because National Hunt fans generally just love to see the favourite horses over and over again. But last thing you want to see her is turning up in a mare's hurdle and finishing third or fourth.
Well, as I say, I think if she had champion hurdle day, I think she'd be about 11th, and everybody would be a bit pissed off.
Well, Drax ruled that out, thankfully. He said, no way that, but he said he's going to sit down with the owner and decide whether Honeysuckle continues to race. RE this race, it was unsatisfactory. Stateman, it does look a very good horse. I do like him a lot. I think he's got the right attributes. In fact, it was funny watching him get pats in the winner's circle. It was like falling to sleep, John. The horse was absolutely dead. He was like, as if to say, I just think it took nothing out of him that at all.
There must be something about Winnie's, because he does seem to be training an awful lot of really laid back individuals.
Yeah,
well chilled out.
Yeah, I do like those. I think any other years, I mean, because we talk about the old course at Cheltenham, how it suits front runners, and at over 2 miles, it's sharp in its nature. Stateman gets an easy on the front end in the champion. It's not inconceivable he can beat Constitution if certain things happen. Constitution would have to run below form, but it does happen. And, as we nick his horses in the past, sometimes they just, whatever, they just go or at any point. So who knows? But look, again, the anti-purse markets are embarrassing.
I think you need Dermot Brown to ride Constitution.
You're right.
The old noodle man,
You're totally right there, as always. I think I can't have Constitutional beaten, really. Stateman, he is a very, very good horse without a shadow. But no, he's not going to beat Constitution, I don't think.
You'd like to see 8 lengths and 6, wouldn't you, actually, at the festival? That would sort of confirm everything you hope. Yeah.
I think Constitution's a bit of a freak now, and he's just, this is it. Stateman, I think on normal years, Stateman wins champion hurdles. There's no doubt about it. But this Constitution Hill's not an ordinary horse. Okay, we'll move on to the Island, Tattersalls Island Novice Hurdler Grade 1 affair, where again odds-on punters were left reeling when Facile Vega petered out like it was shot. Obviously not right at all. John, obviously we've commented on Facile Vega in past reviews where all he's been having is easy leads, whereas High Definition today said, fuck you, we're gonna go a gallop, and bearing in mind that High Definition is a group horse on the flat, did that undo Facile Vega? The time was very fast.
It probably hasn't helped, but I think Joseph O'Brien's tactics have left a lot to be desired with High Definition there. I mean, he's taken a raw novice into a race like that against it, and it was more experienced rival, and asked him to take it on jumping at speed. And I think that was very detrimental to High Definition myself. He probably needed another run in low company before taking this step, and certainly didn't need to be taking this thing on at the front end like he was. I think the horse possibly jumped as well without Mr. Slevin on afterwards. I think they need somebody that can proper educate the horse, and I think they'll have a right toll on their hands, but that was a step backwards for High Definition today, and I think it was the trainer's fault entirely.
No, fair point. So, like I said, Facile Vega, disappointment, and a lot of people have questioned the champion bumper form last year, saying it's possibly a bit overhyped. Was Facile Vega overhyped? We've commented that he's had easies. Nothing's taken him on so far. The first time he did get taken on and made to go apace, he's fell in a heap. So was that down to some issues that we might come to light afterwards, or was that down to just the fact that basically he was taken on to run at a serious gallop?
I don't think they've gone fast enough for that to justify him falling in a hole like he did.
No. I see what you're saying.
No, I mean, they were only 5 lengths in front at third, at best.
Yeah. No, I do see what you're saying on that. That it's ran that bad that it's not just down to the.
Well, it's supposed to be Grade 1 novices. There should be a R8 at that sort of pace.
Well, that's it. If you're gonna win a Supreme Novice, let's be right. You're gonna be taken out of your comfort zone. That's usually the fact that to win one of those. Right. So that's the winner. Though I think the winner was flattered, John. To be honest,
I took that fucking thing at Cheltenham last year.
You did, yeah. This is it. We always come with good bets that win further down the line, don't we, Chris?
Yes, we do.
But it's never
long game.
It's never no good on D-Day. We get all sorts beat. We get Solcombe beat off ridiculous marks. We get Botty horses beat. John's tipped that at Cheltenham last year. That we're not as daft as we look. Which is why we do audio podcasts.
But you can't eat value, as they say. You can't eat. Like 72 to evens, I've got millions of those, and they never fucking win, do they? They never win.
No. Just one more thing before we quit the review and talk about some racing stuff. Gallic Warrior was the most heavily backed horse of the weekend. 9-4 into 10 tips on 10-11 in the handicap hurdle. And I've not heard a roar like that since Robert Dove got the beers in, John.
So you're going to say something else when you mentioned Robert Dove there.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, what can you say? Mr. Mullet, he's had it up, hasn't he?
I mean, look, it's one of these, though. I'm thinking about future targets here because I've said before that race that this horse really is it's a bit of a nutcase really because it jumped right-handed. It probably did the favour that the second last one they didn't have to jump the second last because it keeps jumping right-handed. But God, another Willie Mullins horse with a stupid engine. It's like you said, John, why don't you become a flat trainer and just like win many group races?
I know, I mean that winning Ava, wouldn't it?
I think so. I can't wait for the day when he gets to about 8-year-old and he's finally pissed off with trying to win graded races or handicaps of 158, 159, and he thinks, well, I'll get this off 88, and then win a couple of races. It gets off 103, sneaks in off bottom at Eba. Yeah. I know. But Gallic Warrior, I think for me, he's a bit of an enigma. I don't know. Obviously, again, another one with a stupid engine that doesn't jump probably the right way you want it to for jumping at Cheltenham. But I don't know what they're going to do with that or what race they're going to aim for. But
it's
again,
like that Papey thing at Paul Grange, isn't it? That was biggest certainty to look through a bridle. Remember that? He told Tony McCoy, he said this is a certainty.
What Carvel's Hill?
No, there was another one, wasn't there? It ran in at Coral Cup Final or something.
Was it Unsinkable Boxer?
That was the one, yeah.
I'd have got that beat. I'd have got fucking tailed off if I'd have bet that.
No, you would actually. You definitely would.
True. It's true. Yeah.
It's actually true. Right. After our splendid review there, where we've given you no advice whatsoever to back anything whatsoever or anything at all, which is useless. Hope you found it fun, though. We go on to racecourses now, and there's been a lot of discussion about, for a long time now, how racecourses seem to be absolutely destroying punters' pockets with extortionate prices to eat, drink, get in, do whatever, really. And much to the annoyance of a lot of racegoers that enjoy going racing, they don't seem to react, Chris. And this is something where our Northern Paddock sleuth, Adam Norman, he got basically his sandwiches and bottle of water confiscated when he tried to get in Doncaster racecourse a few weeks back. I mean, he's not daft, he's Norman. I mean, the man honestly would drive around Leeds to get a litre of petrol 2 pence cheaper. But, but
he wakes up every night in the middle of the night to see if he's lost any sleep.
He does. He actually does. Yeah. He's a right bastard, and that's why he's on this show. Yeah. But yeah, so yeah, this for me is very off-putting because we've had the thing about dress codes this week where the Jockey Club racecourses, etc., have dropped their dress codes for minor meetings, not the major ones. John, where do you stand on racecourse dress codes?
Right from being a kid, I was always brought up to, it was like best clothes for church, court and the races.
Yeah, agree with that. Yeah, agree with that 100%.
So I think I'd tend to still, even if for example, say York said you can go in the county in your lounge pants, I think I'd still tend to suit up, and probably until I was one of the last dozen or 2 dozen people doing it.
Yeah, does it erode the exclusivity in some ways and glamour and glitz of the big meetings if say because we know what it's like, the BHA with the whips, etc. Once they start, they tend to just carry a movement forward because they've started it now, so you may as well finish.
But as long as you don't end up with a darts crowd and they all end up turning up there.
Well, no, it'll soon.
What you mean? So, are we talking about the Silver Ring singing "Ya Ya" and the main enclosure singing "Curler"? You know.
Yeah, I mean, soon it'll be gentlemen must wear underpants. I mean, that's where it's going, isn't it? You know. As long as you're wearing a pair of socks, that's fine, and your shoes, because that's going to be the thin end of the wedge, isn't it? I mean, I think part of the appeal of going racing for most people in most of the sort of enclosures other than sort of family enclosures is to sort of dress up and have a day out. And, you know, whilst I object to the sort of silliness of that we experienced at Goodwood this summer, you know, with ties and all that sort of stuff. I mean, I think I do think there is an appeal in getting dressed up, but I fear for the future of, you know, people's dress at races if this is the direction of travel.
Well, here's one for you, Lee, right?
Yeah.
Now, we always take him 3 days at York in May, 4 in August.
Yeah.
Traditionally, when we go for the first day, we're in the middle of the track in our slops and picnic.
Yeah.
Which day
I enjoy that.
Which day do you enjoy the most?
I'd say that the most relaxing is that one.
Yeah.
In terms, you still get all the feel for it, as in, like you get the so when we were there in the middle at your keyboard, it was like by Eden, and you still got the feel and the roar of the crowd and the applause afterwards, and you're sitting in the betting jungle. We're sitting next to the books, and you see everyone betting. And
so if they said
you're in the middle,
you're locked in the middle, dressed like a child. Can go over to the county stand now if you want. How would you feel about that?
My stance would be, I think there's a lot of people that like to have days out per year, and York would be, say, on most people's list to go out and have a good time, and they want to dress up. The girls want to wear nice dresses. The chats with Baps
and the men, don't be so sexist.
Yeah, the chats with Baps want to wear, you know, frocks as well these days.
Right, yeah. What are you saying?
Right, yeah. And they like to put a suit on, and I just think we could lose that. And I've seen the American model, which is, although America do a lot of things right in terms of how they fund the sport, they certainly, you go to a racetrack in the US and it literally is like Billy Bunters in t-shirts and jogging bottom kind of shorts and flip-flops. And if that's what we want to see, are we sort of lowering the sort of exquisiteness of the product on certain race days if we ever went down the route of doing it for the bigger meetings, which could happen now they've started to sort of like lower the dress code? That's where I am anyway. Chris, are you in agreement?
I agree. I totally agree. I think you've got to preserve some sort of dress code for certain enclosures for those people who want to have a day out and get dressed up and you know, as you said earlier.
Yeah, indeed. Right, so we come on to Racecourses and Value, really, because I read on, like, obviously everyone's made a big thing about the Dublin Racing Festival this weekend and how good value it was to attend compared to Cheltenham etc., etc. And obviously, a lot of people are moaning at Cheltenham's prices, which I think is borderline extortion. And this is where I'm going to give a nice little plug to goracing.co.uk. And if you're not familiar with goracing.co.uk, they are basically Go Racing in Yorkshire. And I cannot believe the value of this ticket, which is just ridiculous. Just to outline
wages from him, John. John, he's on wages.
Yeah, you can tell, can't you? Yeah, you can tell. It's definitely not because we did on Barsters, we did a big course list last year with all the members' prices. And I think that was quite well received as an article. We did because a lot of people don't know this shit. They don't look. They haven't got a clue. It's not marketed by the BHA or they don't promote. And BHA don't promote the sport, do they? No. They just sit there and wait to find the next Mr. R.P. McNally, etc.
Yes.
But I mean, but yeah. So Go Racing Yorkshire, 189 fixtures coming up this year from the 1st of April to the 31st of March 2024. For 420 notes, you get access to all those meetings, including the EBOR meeting, the St. Ledger, all grandstand and paddock.
That's a never before offer, isn't it?
That's the never before. Yeah,
never included those.
Yeah, it's incredible, right? You work this out. So, for example, if you bought one of these for 420 quid, 1st of April is Lincoln Day. So.
Bang, you're there, aren't you?
I've checked on the Doncaster website. It's £30.50 for grandstand and paddock.
If you only went for the 60 weekend, 20 quid in time to get in, there's like 1,200 quid.
I challenge anyone in the sport that keeps moaning about admission prices and everything else and says, this is not for good value. 60 weekend and bank holiday fixtures. You've got 27 evening cards, right? And like I say, it's free parking at most, except the only time you don't get free parking is Doncaster on St. Ledger meeting. And I've worked this out. So we're looking at here, right? So it is £2.22 per head. If you went to every meeting, it would cost you £2.22 a meeting. That's incredible. It's astonishing value. You can eat value. That is just so good. And it needs promoting. And it's such a shame that it doesn't get promoted across the wider media, the racing industry itself, to say, look, guys, you keep moaning about admission. The VHA should come out with a statement and say, look at this. Tremendous.
I think it's fair to say that Charlotte Russell has done a hell of a job there getting them EBA days out of James Brennan at York.
Absolutely.
I mean, he's basically had the game by the bollocks for 15 years. And not had to give concessions or advertise because he knows he's going to sell out. And yet she's managed to wheedle that out of him. Fair play, every credit to him. They've also got 8 days reciprocal with Yorkshire County Cricket Club.
Tremendous. I mean, so how come is it everyone in the north always fucking moans how shit it is and how great it is in the south? Tell me that then. Because that is tremendous value. So all northerners now stop moaning about the north. Fucking shut up.
We don't moan about the north. We moan about southerners coming up now.
There's always trouble at Mill or whatever nonsense you talk about out there. Honestly, that is an incredible offer, and I wish I lived nearby because that's phenomenal. And why that isn't plastered all over the racing media and by the BHA is extraordinary. £2 quid a head.
It literally, if you attended everyone, it's just astonishing value. And this is where I want other tracks to do the same. I don't want to say. I mean, even York Racecourse itself, and we've had a few messages and questions about York saying how people have found York so good. People that's come over from Ireland last EBOR Festival said how good York is. And York themselves are good because if you don't do the Go Racing in Yorkshire package, for example, if you want the county stand, you can have 3 days access for 99 quid. Right, that's the premium enclosure
wrong
for 33 quid a day. Right, I mean, like Cheltenham are just like north of 70 and up £100 and in something.
You'd
It's
get
just
within
ridiculous.
30 miles of Cheltenham for that, wouldn't you? 30 odd quid, Christ.
Yeah,
I mean,
well,
just unreal.
Well, Councillor Woodman, another absolutely, honestly, if you ever see tight people, like he's like up there,
Sure,
like
yeah.
he's Group 2 class, maybe Group 1, borderline Group 1. One of them never wins a Group 1, but runs plays to Group 1 level in terms of tightness. And he had a freebie at last Cheltenham Festival, and he was like bouncing. He was like trying to make me as if I'm jealous. He said, "Oh, I'm going quaffing with all the Hooray Henrys and all this." Yeah, and I'm thinking, right, all right. So he gets there. This is what made my day. So obviously parking wasn't included. 30 notes. He had a miscarriage in the car. He literally did. He couldn't breathe. He was like he was reaching for oxygen and all sorts. 30 notes to park your vehicle on the well, I don't know if that was a premium car park next, but 30 quid. I don't care if it's I don't care if it's just outside the gates. 30 notes.
I wouldn't care that for Fizz with Liz.
Well, I tell you, talk about bad luck. I had a VIP pass for Cheltenham, right? Every day, courtesy of the Jockey Club. This was many years ago. Access all areas, premier box. You know, like your breakfast, lunch, a dinner, champagne. Would have been worth $2 or $3 grand. And I got these tickets through, and it was the year it was all fucking called off with foot and mouth. How about that? That's how unlucky I am. I mean, it was a $2 grand package, easy. Back then, I don't know how old. Yeah, foot and mouth.
That was the only year I know when that was, and I do you know why I can remember when that was? Because it was the only year I'd ever had a successful, like really price deal on a Cheltenham anti-purse race. I backed Lady Rebecca the year before at 16-1 each way for the Stayers Hurdle. I think she was about like 7-4 or something. Yeah. You know, and I'm thinking, you know, what a bet I've got here. And then foot and mouth.
More pain.
We just can't win. Following on from Friday, John 3 seconds, Quentin 2 seconds. Yeah, it's a disgrace to us. The luck gods are looking down on the Barsters and all laughing their bollocks off.
Yes.
In the little pool they look down in, like on Jason and the Argonauts. And they're all looking down. Good old. Yeah. But yeah, so I mean, yeah, it's been a good show. This, but yeah, so that for me is top value for goracing.co.uk. So I want everyone that goes in Yorkshire really to try and support that, because I think it's a good initiative, and we need to get behind things like that.
If you go racing regularly, that's not wish list stuff. You need that.
Yes, 100%. In fact, I know people that do it. One chap that lives down the road from me, he swears by it. He tries to go to as many as he can all summer. He's not really a jumps man, but he does most flat meetings, and he says it works out about he ends up for him about £6 a meeting. He's told me.
Yeah.
So £6 a meeting. I mean, come on, man. Right. So just to finish the show with a funny, then a good question from Harry T, and he said, John, right, if you had to be locked in a room.
Oh, fucking hell.
Right. Well, you know a thing about locking people in rooms. So listening to Rachel Candelora, right? Which would you rather have? So listening to Rachel Candelora banging on about irrelevant American pedigrees, or Mark Johnson shouting in your ear with his moth-ridden jumper. Which would you choose, John? You've got you locked for 24 hours with one of them.
Well, I'd be panicking and looking for something to shove in their mouth, so probably Rachel.
I don't know when. What would you shove in the mouth, John?
Stop it.
Handkerchief. That's I was on about. I mean, that's your mind. That's disgraceful, John. I was not even going there.
I'd get a handkerchief out and say, "Does this smell like chloroform?"
Smells like Teen Spirit. Yeah.
And then he'd walk out. John and he'd walk out at room and come back in and say she puts the lotion in the basket.
No, that's it. She's swallowed it. Somebody else went out.
Oh dear. Right. On that note, fetid we are. We're all fetid. You've definitely had enough for us. I mean, we've been on the go for a while now, and it's our first break, really, before we get cracking for the road.
No holiday pay either.
Yeah, no holiday pay for me. This is it in this job. All you public workers out there, big holiday pay, big pensions, big fat salaries. None of this for me. I've got to pay for my own weeks off. It's terrible. But yeah, so anyway. So coming on to the future then, it's garlic bread, of course. It's hashtag the road to Doncaster. Fuck Cheltenham when we come back in March. That's for Blogger and everyone else to tweet rocket at every Willie Mullins winner, whilst me and John will probably just sit, I don't know, eating pate. I think if John even takes time off during Cheltenham to watch Cheltenham. I don't know if you do, John.
Yeah, I'll sit watch a bit of Cheltenham, I think, and finish me fair to follow off and things like that. Yeah,
and then it's hashtag the road to Doncaster. So of course we've got March is big, and people need to know this that we've got 5 to follow on the flat. The 3-year-olds. That's very successful. Was last year. Will be again this year. So that'll be a cracking show to come as well. So lots and lots to come in March. So enjoy our 3 set Sunday sermons, which are Richard Pitman, Bob Cooper, and then this was so much fun to do. Me, Chris, and John discussing our Desert Island disc. It's our Bar Stewards Racing playlist to finish off February. And if the first 2 don't finish you off, that one will. But we had a lot of fun recording that one. So all 3 sermons, you will still have your sermons to look forward to on the Sunday. So make sure you tune in at around 7:30 p.m. That's all from me, John and Chris. Bye for now.